These are the Chat City interviews from 103.2 Preston FM.
Preston Remembers project began with the restoration of Preston's War Memorial in 2013 as a fitting focus for the city's commemorations of the centenary of the First World War. The renovations included the carving of a new dedication to the people of Preston who lost their lives in service after 1945. And today there will be a rededication ceremony of Preston's War Memorial. And to tell me more, it's nice to welcome into the studio Principal Urban Design Officer Nigel Roberts. So Nigel, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
And luckily the weather at the moment looks kind for today.
It does, yes. It's perhaps not good that it's not too sunny because there'll be people standing around, so don't be able to get too hot. But yeah, it's as long as the rain holds off, that's the key thing.
That's the main thing, isn't
yes.
it? So tell us a little about today then, and the timings and something about the rededication.
Well, strange if we're talking about Friday the 13th. We've picked the 13th of June because that's the date in 1926 when the memorial was actually unveiled, or that's when the main ceremony was in 1926. So we've gone for the 13th of June to commemorate that on the 88th anniversary. Then we realised it was a Friday, but hopefully that will not cause us any problems. So what we're doing is we've got the military coming along there. They'll hopefully march up Friargate at 20 to 1 and assemble with a band from the King's Division. Then there'll be a short ceremony led by the Mayor of Preston. It's a civic ceremony, but again we've tried to replicate some elements of the 1926 service where the Mayor of the time led off the sort of unveiling of the memorial. Unfortunately, we don't have Earl Jellicoe this time
yes,
of Jutland,
yes.
But we have some distinguished guests. We have the Lord Lieutenant of Lancashire and the High Sheriff and various other dignitaries. So the Mayor will welcome everyone. He'll do a short rededication of the ceremony. Father Timothy Lipscomb, Vicar of Preston, will then do a blessing, and the Lord Lieutenant will read out a poem by a former serviceman called John Bailey, called, let's just trying to find what it was called, Taking a Stand, which hopefully reflects why we're doing this, about remembering those who've sacrificed their lives to their country, and it's important that we remember that. So John had written some poem in 2011, so we've got his permission for the Lieutenant to read that out. Then there'll be laying of wreaths, then dignitaries will then go back into the Harris, but we've also got an event in the Guildhall for all the volunteers and people who've helped out on the day with activities and stuff. So we're trying to everyone involved gets to take part, and so hopefully it's a fitting tribute to those who've lost their lives.
And I think it's going to be one of the first engagements for the new Mayor of Preston, who is Councillor Nick Pomfret.
Yes, so I think this is I think it's probably his first main role. So hopefully, I think he's said he was looking forward to it, and it'd be nice to have him there. And certainly, when we had our meetings with the military people, then they very saw us as them supporting very much a civic event.
And of course, the memorial is looking resplendent at the moment. It's looking beautiful, isn't it?
Well, so it's all been cleaned. Hopefully, busy last week. We even managed to get the front of the post office cleaned up to give a nice backdrop to the event. Hopefully, made out of Portland stone, which is limestone, which is a very difficult stone, not the easiest building stone.
Yes, I can imagine.
Because it attracts it's effectively because it's a living material, and it does change with the weather. So we've actually applied some surface treatment that's going to help protect it over the next few years. But yes, it's remarkable how it's cleaned up. But even looking back through the historic photographs from the day, it was you could see all the different shades of the stone. But it's hopefully it's people have started to recognise that it's in the square now. Like it'd been there for so long, people had seen it as a backdrop, and now with the new works and the tree planting, everything, it actually restores its prominence in civic life, and it's a fitting part of the with the Harris. As a fitting part of the civic environment of Preston.
That's right. It now does take that prominence, doesn't it, within the flag market? Because I know whenever I walk round there and you look at it, it does take the prominence that, as you say, maybe had disappeared amongst the other buildings some time ago. And I mean, today is a day of remembrance, but it's also a celebration day, isn't it?
Yes, it's very much about the recognising that this is it's commemorating, but it's also it's engaging with the project and actually recognise all that contribution and realising all the valuable things that people have done for Preston and as a city. So it's good. Hopefully people come away with it feeling positive and then engaging with the rest of the project over the next few years as we really sort of use this to start off our commemoration of events around the First World War and understanding the impact that war had on Preston in all its facets, from not only those who went off to fight, but also the impact on the city as a whole. The families, the women, the industry. Obviously, the big thing in Preston is the station buffet, where the women served teas and coffees 24 hours a day for the whole of the war. So that we're trying to make all those links. We're working with all the museums across Preston, so at the Lancashire Infantry Museum, Museum of Lancashire, working with schools, with young people, trying to engage them. A big thing we had when we started the project, working with the military up at Fulwood, was trying to make and maintain the memorial's relevance to everyday life in the city. And I think that's another strand. It's still relevant. People still come there and remember their relatives or friends or comrades who've lost their lives. Not only perhaps from Preston, but it can be a focus for all of those things as well.
And this is also the kind of opener to lots of other remembrances throughout the summer of the Great War. Yeah. We were just talking that in a few weeks' time it's the Armed Forces Day.
And I think we've got another event planned for September. So the project does have a website, which is www.prestonremembers, which is all one word, .org.uk. So all the events we can list on there, but we'll try and list not only events the City Council are doing, but also again all the other museums across the city and perhaps slightly wider. We can we try and coordinate all of that. So the money we've got from the Heritage Lottery Fund, who've provided the bulk of the funding for the project very generously. I think they've given us something like 850,000. Although a big chunk went on actually doing the War Memorial itself, both restoring it and adding the new surround and the new. We've got about £250,000 worth to do learning, activity and engagement. So a big part of the project is us going out and engaging with. So we have dedicated staff within the City Council who are working with volunteers. One of the big projects we want to do is for local communities to identify any war memorials in buildings, churches, because lots of them were put up. Factories, schools, anything like that. We're trying to catalogue them all, identify them, try and do some research on some of the names if people want to do that. So help communities with all that research skills, and if necessary, if any of those memorials need any restoration work or anything, we can try and offer support to do that. So there's many branches to all of this, but it's trying to engage people in the life of the city and the importance.
And as you say, an important historical record of Preston, and it's nice to bring the communities into doing this, because whatever your feelings about war, and it is a historic fact that we need to remember the people who left Preston and never returned again.
Yes, and I think interesting. 1926 was quite late for having a memorial, but actually the mayors of Preston post World War I actually expended a lot of effort on supporting the families, the widows, and doing all that work first. Then coming back to the memorial, which is quite interesting social comment in itself. So there's those other stories we want to explore. Then we had refugees from Belgium came to Preston in World War I. Some of them, buried in Preston Cemetery. So there's lots of stories we can tell and try and make it relevant to today. I think that's one of the key things we want to do.
And Nigel, you're a Principal Urban Design Officer, and our listeners always love to know when our guests come in what they do. So what does a Principal Urban Design Officer do? Is it many-faceted?
It is many-faceted. I won't go into the full details, but I suppose I have a background in architecture and design, and I suppose my role is to try and many roles. One of them is to try and encourage high quality new development. So when planning applications come in, we try and make sure it's of the highest quality we can. Not sometimes successful, not always, but that's part of the I also look after historic buildings. That's another part of my work. So we get involved in a lot of things like the Harris Museum, listed buildings, all that sort of thing. So we're engaged in area around here in Winkley Square, but also, as with this project, part of my role is then to try and get funding for the City Council to actually try and lead on regeneration type of thing. So we've had the War Memorial project, been involved in making other bits of lottery for the area around Winkley Square, including Cannon Street, to try and improve the area and give out grants to property owners. So that's supposed to the other side. It's both working with developers to do new development, but also then working on historic buildings to try and secure their long-term survival and future.
Right. And architecturally, do you have a favourite building in Preston?
Oh, it could be. I suppose you'd probably have to say the Harris Museum is very for effectively a small county town, which Preston is, to have a building of that quality and size. That it does have some very high quality urban buildings, and it's interesting when I meet people who've come to Preston for the first time, and they are pleasantly surprised by the quality of the built environment we have in Preston, which is always nice to hear. So yes, I like the Harris, but there's also, interestingly, what used to be there's what used to be the Woolwich Building Society on Fishergate on the corner.
That's right, yes.
That upstairs, that has the most fantastic Art Nouveau features and fittings from when it was the bank manager's office, in his toilet with all the tiles and mosaics. You walk in and you get to see lots of hidden things. There's some quite nice hidden things that you...
That's quite interesting, isn't it? The hidden things that we wouldn't see.
Yeah. Well, I think we work closely with our colleagues in the Harris Museum, and I think last year successfully, we every year there's a thing called Heritage Open Days. That's usually in September, and we actually managed to agree the shop owner could opened up and allowed people to go and have a look upstairs. So again, that's something we want to try and expand on this September. So, which is all about allowing the public into those hidden spaces and hidden. Although I have been locked in the cells in the Crown Court at one point, so I don't want to repeat on a purely work-related work-related issue. So that's probably my least favourite listed. Being locked in the cell.
Yeah, I'm pleased that you kind of explained that for us before you left the studio, Nigel. Yes, yeah. And do you think? I mean, you were talking about new buildings.
Yes.
Can new buildings coexist with architecturally designed buildings? Do you think?
Yes, I think they could. Yeah, I think and certainly, obviously, I think there's just between sort of trying to mimic, but I think there is a lot of high. You can get some very high quality new developments. And I think there's been some very, perhaps not in Preston, but nationally, there's been some very sensitive restorations of. I think one of the RIBA, which Royal Institute of British Architects competition winners, was how they restored an ancient castle by putting a new glass bit in. So it can work. It has to be the highest quality. Unfortunately, things perhaps don't come cheap, but imagination and quality, it can be achieved.
Right. Well, just remind us again, today is the rededication of Preston's War Memorial, and if you can just remind our listeners of the times to get down to the flag market.
The military due to march up Friargate from Shop Mobility Car Park at 12:40. So I suspect if people can be on the flag market from about 12:30. So they can see all of that happening. Then the main ceremony is due to start at 1 o'clock, probably for last about 20 minutes. So yeah. But if people want to see the band marching on and off, it's going they probably need to be there for just after 12:30 at the latest to hopefully get a good position and see what's going on.
Okay, a busy day for you then.
I'll be glad when it's over and I can relax. Yes.
Successfully out.
And I don't get shot by the military.
Oh, well, Nigel, can I thank you for taking time out to come in this morning? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
103.2 Preston FM.
Your community.
Your radio.
You're listening to the Chat City interviews on 103.2 Preston FM.